My name is Robin Gill, and I'm a correspondent and anchor with Global National News. I know it sounds so cliche about when people ask me, did you always want to do this? When did you have the epiphany that you were going to do this? But we watched the news as a family when we were kids, and when I was 5, I turned to the TV and I said, Mom, Dad, that's what I'm doing. It is exactly what I thought it was going to be, because I remember being in broadcast journalism school, and our teacher said, it's not going to be glamorous. People are going to pick on you, whether you're like too skinny, too short, too fat, whatever the case may be. So be prepared for that and have a thick skin. You're going to have erratic hours. No one works 9 to 5. No one works Monday to Friday. Everyone has a crazy schedule. So be prepared for that. And I have been prepared for that. So I'm realistic about it. The key milestones that I've had in my life are chapters, really. For example, starting off in the business, I started off in small markets, so you really meet really nice and interesting people. And the next chapter, I would say, is like making it to a bigger market. So say, for example, when I got to Toronto, I had to start at the bottom again, but I worked my way up and covering the bigger stories and moving into covering politics and covering elections. And I think that propelled me into this job. So it was all that time that I spent in various markets and across the country that got me this job, and that's where I am now. I know a lot of people think the news is negative. The reality is this is what is happening in your world, and you need to know what's happening because maybe you can make a change, or maybe a government can make a change, or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the newscast, we're making sure we have some lighter moments so that you end your day on a smile. I think that people need to pay attention to news. Aren't you concerned about what's happening in the world? Do you want to know what's happening in the world? You should want to be informed. And I think you should be reading newspapers. You should be watching the news. It's so important. Forget just getting those little snippets. We're giving you the full story. And you should watch the full story so you have all the context of a story. It's so important. Rather than just a little snippet on Facebook or a little snippet on Twitter, that should get your attention for sure, but I think you should watch the broader view and the broader story, whether it's turning to the newspapers or whether it's turning to broadcast journalism. Some of the stories that I've had to cover are pretty emotional and really sad and heartbreaking. I remember a few years ago I had to cover the Air India verdict, and as we all know, everyone was acquitted in that case, and I had to speak to the father of a young girl who had died on that plane. And he was sobbing. He turns to me and he goes, she would have been your age. And your heart stops. You just feel so sick for this family, and they're never going to get justice. And it is heartbreaking. I remember leaving that day with a heavy heart and just feeling really sad and really upset for that family. And it's hard. It's really hard. There have been times when I didn't get the job that I wanted over the years, and I remember a very, very good friend of mine who's in the business, she said to me, it is not going to be on your tombstone that you had this job. It's not going to be on your tombstone that you had this many jobs or you were at this level in your career. What's going to be on your tombstone is how you were loved and cared about. And you should think about the friends and family in your life and surround yourself with good people and focus on that. And I think a lot of people need to know that. It's important, like seriously. I remember not getting a job and I really wanted it. I was really upset when I didn't get it. And my friend took me aside. She says, really? Is it gonna be on your tombstone? And I'm like, you are right. You are right. It's not.
And it will open up another option.
And you know what? It led to this. That's the irony of the whole thing, is that I got a better job.
There you go.
I know. I ended up getting a better job after all of that.